Look out your window. Look at your neighbor's driveway. You see that shiny new Ford F-150? That Tesla Model Y? That impeccable SUV that they just brought home last month? It looks like success. It looks like the American dream. But I'm going to tell you what it really is. It's a rental, and the landlord is coming to kick them out. Welcome back to TheCore Explained. I'm your host, and today we are having a very uncomfortable conversation. You see, something is happening in America right now that the main news networks are only whispering about. They call it a correction. They call it softening demand. I call it what it is, a bloodbath. Right now, as you watch this, tow trucks are running 24/7 in cities across the U.S. We aren't just seeing a tick-up in repossessions. We're seeing numbers that rival and, in some specific sectors, exceed the 2008 financial crisis. But this time, it's different. In 2008, people lost their homes first, then their cars. In 2026, the car is the first domino to fall. Why? Because you need a house to sleep in, but you can convince yourself you don't need that specific car. Or maybe the bank decides for you. Today, I'm going to show you the math that the dealerships are terrified you'll see. I'm going to explain why your credit score might not save you, why negative equity is the scariest two words in the English language right now, and why, if you are thinking about buying a car in 2026, you need to stop right now. Let's get into the core. Let's strip away the marketing. Let's look at the raw data. According to the latest reports from Fitch Ratings and Cox Automotive closing out 2025, the auto loan delinquency rate, that's people who are more than 60 days late on their payment, has hit a level we haven't seen since the Great Recession. For subpar borrowers, it's actually worse. We're looking at delinquency rates over 6.6%. That is a record. That is higher than when the entire housing market collapsed 18 years ago. Think about that for a second. Unemployment is not at 10% like it was back then. People have jobs. You have a job. Your neighbor has a job. So if everyone is working, why is everyone defaulting on their cars? It's the math. It's the monthly payment trap. 3 years ago, during the pandemic, remember that? When you couldn't find a car for sale? Dealerships were charging $5,000, $10,000 over MSRP, and people paid it. Maybe you paid it. You were told, cars are an asset now. They go up in value. That was a lie. It was a supply shock bubble. And now, pop. Here is the reality of 2026. Those inflated prices are gone. But the loan is still there. We're seeing millions of Americans driving cars that are worth $20,000, but they owe $35,000 to the bank. And the banks, they're panicking. Major lenders, Wells Fargo, Capital One, Ally, they're tightening their belts. They see the writing on the wall. They know that when inflation eats your grocery budget, when your rent goes up by $200, that $900 car payment becomes impossible. You can sell the car because you owe more than it's worth. You can't refinance because the bank won't touch an underwater asset. You are trapped. And the only way out is the repo man. How did we get here? How did we let $50,000 cars become normal? The dealers have a weapon. It's called the term length. Back in the day, a standard car loan was 36 months, then 48, then 60. Now, walk into any dealership and ask for a payment quote. They won't show you the price of the car. They'll show you the monthly payment based on 84 months. That's 7 years. I've even seen 96-month loans, 8 years. Imagine paying for a car in 2034 that you bought today. Think about the condition of an 8-year-old car. It needs repairs. It has 100,000 miles, but you're still making the same payment as day one. This is predatory.
They stretch the loan to lower the payment, just so they can fit you into a car you actually cannot afford. It keeps the monthly number low, but it skyrockets your risk, because for the first 4 years of that loan, you're paying almost entirely interest. You're not touching the principal. So when 2028 rolls around and you want to sell, you're massively underwater. Banks loved this in 2022. They're hating it in 2026. Why? Because when they repossess that car, they lose money too. If you owe $40,000 on a car that's worth $20,000 at auction, the bank takes a $20,000 haircut. That is why lending standards are tightening. That is why if you have a credit score below 680 right now, you might find it impossible to get a loan without a massive down payment. The free money era is over. The sign and drive era is dead.
Listen, I know this sounds heavy. I know it sounds depressing, but my job isn't to make you feel good. My job is to protect your wallet from the sharks. If you're tired of the mainstream media telling you the economy is strong while your grocery bill doubles, if you want the real math on housing, cars, and credit, then do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Join TheCore. We are building a community of realists here. We don't gamble, we calculate. Subscribe, and let's get back to the truth. There's another layer to this crisis that nobody talks about until it's too late. Let's say you can afford the $800 payment. You have a good job. You think you're safe. Have you looked at your insurance premium lately? Auto insurance rates in 2025 and 2026 have skyrocketed. We're talking 20%, 30% increases year over year. Why? Complexity. Cars have sensors, cameras, and computers in the bumpers. A fender bender used to cost $500. Now it costs $3,000 because you have to recalibrate the parking sensors. Labor costs, mechanics are charging more, parts are more expensive due to inflation. Climate, floods, hail, storms. Insurance companies are bleeding money, and they're passing that cost to you. So now your $800 car payment has a $250 insurance premium attached to it. That's over $1,000 a month just for the privilege of the car sitting in your driveway. And if you bought an EV, oh boy, we will do a whole separate video on the EV depreciation disaster. Make sure you watch out for that one. But for now, just know this: used EVs are crashing in value. Hertz is dumping them. Dealers don't want them. If you bought a Tesla Model 3 in 2022 at peak price, you might be the most underwater person in America right now. This combination, high interest, negative equity, and soaring insurance, is the perfect storm that is driving the repossession crisis. It's not just irresponsible people losing their cars. It's families who did the math 3 years ago, but the math changed. The cost of living ate their margin of safety. So, what do? If you are watching this and you're scared, good. Fear makes you sharp. Here is the path forward for 2026. Rule number 1, do not trade in. If you have a working car, keep it. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if it needs a new alternator. Repairing a car for $2,000 is always cheaper than financing $40,000 at 8% interest. Drive it until the wheels fall off. Rule number 2, the 20-4-10 rule. If you must buy a car, use the old school math. 20% down payment, cash. If you can't save 20%, you can't afford the car. This protects you from being underwater the moment you drive off the lot. 4-year loan maximum, not 72 months, not 84 months, 48 months. If the payment is too high on a 4-year loan, the car is too expensive. Look for something cheaper. 10% of income. Your total car costs, payment plus insurance, should not exceed 10% of your monthly take-home pay. Rule number 3,
gap insurance. If you're already in a loan, or if you have to buy with a low down payment, you absolutely must have gap insurance. If your car gets totaled or stolen and you owe $25,000, but the car is worth $20,000, the insurance company pays you $20,000. You still owe the bank $5,000. Gap insurance covers that. It saves lives. Final thought. The banks are taking cars because they know the value is dropping. They're cutting their losses. You need to think like a bank. Don't be the person holding the bag. Don't be the person paying for an asset that is depreciating faster than you can pay it off. Stay liquid, stay skeptical, and keep your old car running. This is TheCore Explained. I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, just a reminder, I'm a YouTuber, not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. Do your own research, look at your own budget. Don't sue me if you buy a lemon.